Welcome to another Office Hours. This month we're joined by the user UX team at Alfresco. So we've got a full panel. Most of the team was able to join us today, which is exciting. Before we dive into that though, I have a couple of brief announcements. First is we're in full summit preparations for Alfresco Summit this year. I'm grateful that Alfresco has a team dedicated to that, and I don't have to be as involved as previously, but they're making good progress. So the big dates are November 17th through 19th in New Orleans in the United States. So we're going to do a single global summit and unite the community this year. We do expect to get out the call for papers pretty quickly within a couple of weeks. So start prepping your proposals. Competition will be fierce. We expect some good proposals. Please take the time to do that. That'll be really good. Also, our new developer evangelist is put together a meetup for developers in southern Germany in Munich. John Newton has said he'll attend, so that's June 1st in Munich. One of our partners there is going to host. If you're in the Munich area or want to travel there, then you'll be able to get more details at alfresco.com/community. We're still working out the hours and a registration page and things, but June 1st. Next online event will be Tech Talk Live on June 3rd. That event isn't on the calendar yet either because we're still finalizing the speaker, but we're shooting for June 3rd. We're going to move it to be an hour earlier to be easier for the Europeans, especially for Oli. So that'll probably be at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time instead of the traditional 11. So we're trying to finalize that presenter this week. We are going to do another office hours, but I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work with the summertime. But the documentation team agreed to attend and answer your questions about how we do documentation and how we and how to give feedback on the documentation. So if you have questions, please give them to me, and we'll try and figure out if that's going to work in June or July or August or maybe even September, depending on how the summer break goes. So that's the calendar. Those are the events we have lined up. So thanks for letting me take those few minutes for the introductions. Let's get on to our illustrious panel, the user interaction team. Now, I want to pause a minute and introduce the team, Matt, by saying when I joined Alfresco, our visual design user interaction team was founding employee Linton, the genius behind the way Sherrick his look traditionally and the logo and pretty much everything that people associate with Alfresco design. He did it all, which is amazing. He's very prolific. He was unable to join us today, but I think it says a lot about how Alfresco's evolved and matured that now we've got 8 people, which is most of the team, doing that work. We're much more deliberate about how we do things. So Matt is the lead of the team at the moment. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself and your team?
Sure, thanks, Richard. So, hi, I'm Matt Saunders. I'm the Director of User Experience here at Alfresco. Currently 4 months into joining the team, so I'm still relatively new, but getting to know Alfresco pretty well, and I've met many people in the company, but hoping to meet more. But yeah, absolutely pleased to be here and wanting to introduce the rest of the team, the superstars on the team. We've got a lot of talent on the call today, so I'll introduce each one of them individually, and do you want to just introduce yourselves and say who you are? So I'll start with Hina. So Hina, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. Hi. Thanks, Matt. My name's Hina Varambia. I'm a senior user experience designer at Alfresco. I'm involved in creating, improving the design of Alfresco's products and helping our customers find, access, share, and collaborate through our products more easily and more quickly. I joined about 18 months ago, and it's been a great journey. And every day I can feel us improving, and it's been a really great journey so far. My days pretty much involve around listening to customer feedback, talking to the product team, engineers, research, and the UX team to find and validate problems and work towards solving those problems. I began my career about 10 years ago designing digital solutions and products for big .com companies, so lastminute.com, and also did a lot of design for fashion and consumer brands at Time Inc. Naturally, because of the environment, I moved on to agency world in London, so I worked for some top media agencies there, which then grabbed, like, the tech world from that just grabbed me. I just fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the depth of problem solving and the constant change in technology, and using these technologies to enhance people's lives, which has brought me to Alfresco. In the past, I've created games, apps, websites, campaigns, videos, music flows and comics, and I've even created toys to solve customer problems. And I suppose what keeps me going is it's the storytelling and the process that pulls all of these outputs together and adds the energy to the product. And that's why, you know, I love being at Alfresco, and it's really exciting right now because they were constantly asking, you know, who, what, why, when, where, about, you know, every issue, every problem. And that's me. I'm going to keep rambling on. I could ramble on forever, so I'm going to pass it on.
Thanks, Tina.
I can pass it on. I'll pass it on to who's next on my Shavana. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Hi, so my name is Shabana, and I'm user experience designer at Alfresco. So my background really is in digital design and looking at sort of storytelling and capturing the user's interaction across digital. My passions are really about technology, social media, and I've always been really interested in, just quite simply, how do people share? How do you share data? How do you stay current? And how do you know about what's evolving or trending in your company, your agency, wherever you might be? So that led me to Alfresco. I am a recent addition to the team, super excited to get going. And my journey really will be sort of looking at the user interaction. So how are people accessing our product? Where are the points where they fall off? What's working? What isn't working? And ultimately, how can we just streamline their journeys to make them smoother and easier, and ultimately just feel great? So it's not a conscious sort of effort about how they're traveling. It feels right, and it feels really natural, and it feels good to use. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. Thanks. I'll pass back to Matt, maybe.
Thanks, Shabana. So next up, we've got Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa Rex. I'm the senior user researcher here at Alfresco. I joined last October. I have a background in software and web, as well as open source. I did a lot of work with the Drupal project. I'm going to talk about research, but I'll wait till we get to the intros, and we'll talk about that in a bit.
Cool. And Joanna next.
Hi, so I'm Joanna Bochecha. I'm the senior visual designer. So basically, my background is on. I used to work in Thomson Reuters, so my background is around data visualization. I've been working in music market as well, real estate, and I joined Alfresco the beginning of this year, so it's pretty recent as well. Most of what I do in Alfresco, lately I've been working more in Share, and I'm trying to give some color to the Share and to the interface, basically, that I work side by side with all this team. So basically we come up with new ideas and try to make it more friendly and useful for the user. So let's see.
Thanks, Joanna. And last but not least, we've got Shane.
Hi everyone. My name is Shane Majak. I'm lead user experience designer at Alfresco. I've been here just over a month. Yeah, my background is kind of design. I started by studying industrial design. I kind of then moved on to web and print design, and now for the last 10 years or so, I've been working in the enterprise, designing user experiences here, and yeah, very excited to be at Alfresco. Yeah, I'll give a bit more detail on the UX design process later in the call. Thanks.
Thanks, Dane.
Excellent. Thanks for the introductions. It's been a pleasure to get to know this team quite a bit better over the last few months. It's a lot of fun to see how things work. And I've been in a lot of companies, but Alfresco's really matured into probably the largest software company I've worked in. And this very deliberate approach to interaction and design is fairly new to me. It's taken a while for me to figure out how it relates to engineering and how it differs from product management. Matt, what is it that your team does? How is it distinct from other parts of the company?
Yeah, so I think obviously UX design and design in general has been a part of Alfresco for the longest time, but as you said, it's been a team of one, right? And as the company evolves and our product offerings grow, I think UX design becomes much more important for us to make sure that the experiences within and how people consume the product experiences are as seamless and as smooth as possible. So our team is not a technical team. We don't build or deliver code. We are very much we represent the customer in conversations about the improvements and extensions to the Alfresco product offerings. We sit within the product management team, which means that we collaborate really very closely with the product managers in the early stages of innovation and conceptual thinking about the direction of where the products go. Our role really is to deeply understand the customer need and the different types of personas that interact with our products at any point in the customer journey. So what we've done to kind of deliver upon that is to organize ourselves in a way that we've got 3 distinct functions within the UX team. So UX really is an umbrella term for many different aspects of design in software and web design and online application design, product design, however you want to name it. And within that team, as you gather from as people introduce themselves, there's a lot of different skill sets, and generally the folks on the call have got experience in many different areas of design, from research through to creative, through to user experience design, industrial design, as Shane said. We've got a lot of different skill sets, but the organization itself is going to be structured in a way that we've got 3 distinct functions, as I said. The first one being user research, so UX research, and Lisa is our current team of 1, which we're still in the making. The team is growing very fast, but we are looking to expand, and this is a really important aspect of the UX team. So Lisa's role really is to really deeply understand who our customers and users are, by speaking to our customers and understanding their needs and their day-to-day, building empathy for those customers and communicating that empathy across not only the UX team but the rest of the organization, so that we can all empathize and understand the customer pain points and how they work day in, day out, so that we can pinpoint with better accuracy the areas where we can innovate and start to provide more frictionless experiences with our products and solve those problems through software, or it may not even be software, right? There could be documentation or other areas that we need to provide some help to kind of make their lives easier, make the users' lives easier. The other aspect of this is really unearthing the unknown, the insights and nuances of those workflows, and that may introduce areas where we can innovate and create new product offerings, right? And feed that back to the teams so that we can maybe adjust our strategy or look at how we can better exploit those opportunities for the product team and the business as a whole. And really, there's a lot of communication in the UX research team. So how do we communicate those findings and help bring everybody on the same page and understand, why we were going after certain areas that we've decided to solve those problems for our users and our customers. So that's really research. Lisa's going to speak about that in a little more detail in a second. The second functional area that we've got is user experience design, and we've got a couple of folks on the call who are really leading the charge on that at the moment. And we've got Shane and Hina who are really taking that on. And the role of the UX designers is really understanding the research findings and insights that Lisa's team come up with and articulating across our team as well as the product team and the engineering team who our customers are, representing that customer as we go through the process of trying to solve the problems that we've identified through research and really iterating fast and optimizing those workflows. So really there's a problem-solving space there for the UX designers on the team. And the artifacts that they generally produce are proposals or solutions to those stories through sketches, storyboards, prototypes, which are then taken to the UX research team and then validated back with our customers. So there's a lot of iteration, a lot of early failure, which is encouraged by these folks. You know, we want to be failing and you know, getting the ideas out there and understanding what works and what doesn't work for our customers. So, you know, this is the point of this, is that we reduce the cost of failure for the business. You know, we want to deliver solutions that really do resonate with our customers and really do solve those problems that we've unearthed through research. So the idea is that we iterate to we're at a point where we have a solution that really is tapping into that emotional, empathetic need that we've unearthed through research and speaking to our customers. And the third functional area that we've got, and we've got Joanna on the call, but we've also got Matt Sellers, and Linton is traditionally from this creative aspect of design, which most people are more familiar with. You know, this is really a collaborative approach, and the creative team are involved from day one to understand the problem as well. But their real value comes when we need to bring these proposals and concepts to life for customers. Really help customers and internal stakeholders understand what this vision of a product or an experience really could be. And you know, this really helps us to showcase early concepts or proposals and take that for validation with customers and internal stakeholders, understand what is possible, what really resonates with our customers, and also aligning our product experiences with our brand, right? You know, how do our products really reflect what Alfresco is, what it stands for, what are the values that we've got, and how do we represent that within the experiences of the product themselves? So a really important role. The other aspect of this is, you know, how do we take the brand and create standards and guidelines and pattern libraries for consistency across multiple products and offerings that we have. You know, again, this is a super important part of the UX team's role here at Alfresco, and we're still in the early stages of forming this point of view. But as our portfolio grows and the offerings extend out to our customers, the type of experiences that we deliver to customers that are consuming multiple products and experiences, this needs to be consistent. It has to feel like it's from the same family, from the same company. And I see, you know, moving forward, there's going to be a lot of focus on us creating, working with engineering to make sure that we can provide these standards and deliver these standards within the product itself and translate them into, you know, a real product and real offerings as we move forward. So, you know, I think each one of those functions is extremely important in the way that we execute on improving and delivering better user experiences across all of the offerings that we have here at Alfresco. Does that kind of cover it for you, Richard? You're on mute, I think, Richard.
Oh, there it goes. Now you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to hear me pounding as I wrote down questions from the IRC channel. Yeah, no, that's a really useful explanation, and perhaps it gets more concrete I think of it in terms of my role as a new product manager. That I have a responsibility for a specific product and figuring out kind of the life cycle of that product and what we need to do to evolve it to make it better fit its market. And as I do that, I draw upon our UX team at certain key points. When I have an idea about what we need to do, Lisa and the research team helps me validate that hypothesis without answering my own question, without biasing the results. So we actually find out what is important, and Lisa's really good at that. And then we turn to the user interaction team to figure out the details about each step and empathize with the user's viewpoint to figure out what is the best way to solve this need that we validated as real. And at that point, we can then turn to the engineering team and get work planned and work with the visual team to figure out exactly how it's going to look so it fits in our brand guidelines and it's beautiful. So that's how I see it. Is that a good summary of kind of how that life cycle works, Matt?
Yeah, that's really great. And I think I've heard that from a lot of the product managers here and on the team, is that the UX team really needs to remain impartial and represent the customer in all of these conversations. So folks often say that we're keeping them honest, right? Keeping folks honest and making sure that we only react to the facts and the insights that are unearthed through the research that Lisa and the rest of the team are doing. So yeah, that was a good summary. Thanks, Richard.
Yeah. So and it's been a lot of fun, honestly, to work with your team because, like you said, being kept honest to is this just Richard's idea or is it actually valid? Can we validate this? It is a really valuable intellectual exercise and it keeps us from going down rabbit holes and doing the wrong things. So it's been a lot of fun to participate with you guys.
And just to add to that, it lessens the risk, right? The risk that we go off and build something that customers really don't need. And I think everybody should feel more comfortable that we are validating and ideally invalidating a lot of our hypotheses as well. So, yeah.
Excellent. So I think we should, we're going to talk to the user research team. So Lisa, would you like to share your viewpoint on your day-to-day? What is it that you spend your time doing?
Sure. So, first of all, I just want to say that user research is really strongly championed within the product team, which is really nice. It's not a battle to do to get, time allocated to that. So I'm currently a team of 1, and usually I'll be focused on 1 or 2 projects at one time. We've been focusing on new offerings as well as share. But at the same time, we have some product managers doing some of their own research, and also the UX designers we're going to get them doing their own as well. So, yeah, particularly just sort of the design validation, which is ensuring that the designs we're proposing are actually going to work. So that that can take many forms. But I'll go into our process in a bit. Yeah, I just want to say, going forward, I hope we can really up our momentum of the research. It's been, it's slow when there's only just one of you, but we're getting there. I've started creating this UX research toolkit, which is basically a wiki showing people, all the options available to them and how they can get started. So the process is we're really focused on, well, I'm trying to, Matt and myself, we're focused on the lean UX process. There's a book, it's a really great book, where some of us have read it, others are still reading it or will read it soon. And there, with the research, it's it's really focusing on how can we just make the most impact with the least amount of effort, especially since we're so we have lots to do. As for my process, I prefer doing one-on-one moderated studies, so that could either be over WebEx or ideally it would be in person, but that's not always feasible. And speaking to people, you really get a sense of where their pain lies and that sort of thing. So we enjoy that. I always record my interviews just for internal purposes. I have a lot of the designers are invited to sit in, and developers are invited to sit in and take notes. And then what that means is I don't have to create the big report afterwards, because everyone's already aware of what's going on, what's the problem. So I have also used the remote unmoderated tools, and those are really great because you don't have to go through the process of recruiting someone who is like your user is available to take part in a study, and so we can validate things pretty quickly that way. So yeah, so once we've done the research, I guess, well, actually, before I start the research, I always have what I call like a research plan. And that usually includes like, what are we going to talk about, who are we going to talk to, all that kind of thing. And then after we've done the research, I have either some sort of report or summary that comes together with the recorded videos, and I kind of keep them all together in our version of Alfresco 1 here. And then it's available, and I distribute it to the team, and hopefully none of them are surprised by what they're seeing because they've been part of the research as well.
Now, Lisa, how do you find the research participants? How do you initially find somebody that you want to talk to?
Good question. That's one of the very big challenges. So yeah, so we can find customers through internal people. We can find customers at events, but we really need to talk to the actual end users. So I'm actively seeking ideas for the best way to do that. And in the meantime, we do have a little URL where we can capture people who are interested in taking part in these research sessions. Most of them are an hour. Well, I'd say an hour or less, but some of them can be really easy.
Is the URL something easy to remember if you tell it to us?
Yeah. It's alfresco.com/UX research.
So UX research, and I'll put that in the summary of the show. And most of the people attending this call are probably developers and consultants who work with the end user. So what we need is your help, attendee, person watching the broadcast, to find the person who's using the solution you're building in your business, and go to that URL, take them to that URL, sign them up. We would love their feedback. It would help us do a much better job in making the solution work for your environment.
Yes, it would be very helpful. Very helpful. Thank you.
So once somebody signs up, what's their experience? Do you reach out to them via email?
Yeah, I will get in touch by email. I may not get in touch straight away. I may wait until a study comes up that is appropriate to their background. So, but rest assured, their information is just being kept just for our use. I won't pass it on. It's just I'll be in touch if I think they're a good fit for the study.
Excellent. And the study's usually about an hour, you said, and over WebEx, more of an interview?
Yeah, probably, most likely. I think what I would like to do is have people show me how they're using Share, if it was, say, Share. And so we could get into some screen sharing. And just, yeah, a lot of just chatting, just casual, and I might have a lot of questions, but I'm also listening. Excellent.
That's very useful, and that's a good introduction to your team, to kind of the day-to-day. Thomas, our VP of product, he's in the chat channel saying, please do help us sign up more users for research, for working with Lisa. And I've been able to participate in a couple of those. Lisa's very friendly. It's a lot of fun. It'll be a pleasure to work with her more. So, anything else you want to share about your role before we move on to the next team?
I can't think of anything, but if anyone has any questions, I have IRC open.
Excellent. So appreciate that summary. So next we want to talk about interaction design. So who on the that's Shane, right? Yeah, Shane's gonna cover that.
Hi. So hi again, everybody. Yeah. So UX design, interaction design, Alfresco, and kind of how I see it working. And obviously, I've only been here a month, but yeah, I'll just talk through a bit of the process and some of the tools and methods I use. So obviously, as Matt and Lisa have already mentioned, it kind of starts with research findings and kind of some good solid research to work from, and understanding our customers and our target audience, our users. And so at the beginning, I would generally go through an illustration or a sketching process of kind of drawing out some of the problems they're having, some of the processes they're trying to go through, and from that I can share that with the team, and we can discuss those problems and get everybody under the same understanding that's a good way to start, I think. And you can share that with a business as well, or customers, if ideally if they're available. So once you get an idea of what we're going after, we can then kind of go into a 3-in-a-box sessions, as we call it, where the UX designer, that would be myself or one of the other guys, and the project manager and an engineering architect will get together, maybe in a room, maybe for an hour or a day or however long it needs, and kind of work through these problems, come up with workflows. These will generally be very quickly done, sketched or drawn out with boxes and arrows, kind of in Illustrator or another tool, sketching tool. And we'll kind of work through that process and communicate those findings to the wider team, and again, maybe the business. We'll kind of, you can use all sorts of different methods of doing that. Email it to people, put it on our share system, or stick it to the wall in the office and kind of get people to comment on stuff like that. So we go through that process till we get to a kind of an agreed flow for any piece of work, and then that will kind of progress into kind of low fidelity kind of wireframes, sketch wireframes, that again go through an iteration process of, we'll show that to the team, we'll discuss it, and maybe share it with the wider team, maybe share it with customers in research sessions if we can do them quickly, and then iterate again and keep going through that process until we get to a point where we think, yeah, we've got a good idea or a good solution at this point in time. We may create prototypes at that point as well, and iterate on those, get some more feedback that way using automated research methods. And then once we've got that solution, we can kind of communicate it out to engineering and start getting that thing built. And yeah, throughout the design process, we'll be working closely with engineering, of course, and visual design and our editorial teams. So they'll be in that process from the very beginning, ideally, and so they can see what you're doing and they can be planning how they're going to work with your designs from the start.
Yeah, and I think, Shane, just to interject, I think you touched on a really good point. A lot of the work that we do and what I'm asking the team to do here at Alfresco is be very transparent in what we're working on and make sure that we are communicating. In some ways, it might seem like we're over-communicating, but we want to make sure that people are involved and have the opportunity to provide feedback early in the process. And that goes from our docs team, the engineering team, the product team, and other stakeholders in the business, so that we're not huddling away in a room for several months and creating a grand reveal of a surprise to the business. We want people to be involved. It's a collaborative process that throughout the process we become a lot more confident in the solutions that or the proposals that we're putting forward. So that's really the process that we're trying to go for here. And this, as we said, we're in early stages and we're going to go through some bumps in the road, but I think the intent is very transparent and open, and I think that fits really well with Alfresco overall. Sorry, Shane, for jumping in.
That's okay. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's really useful background.
Yeah, so just to kind of finish off, so we'll be working closely with all these teams and always trying to share what we're doing at the earliest possible opportunity. And once we've gone through that process, we'll kind of also highlight any validated flows and kind of UI patterns that we find along the way, and hopefully we'll be able to add those to some kind of library or some kind of standard that we can share across the business and go, we've discovered this pattern works best, we'll adopt it and we'll use that elsewhere when required. So yeah, and through the engineering and deployment development process, we'll also kind of be reviewing hopefully those engineering builds to kind of see if it's being implemented as we expected, and kind of just giving feedback there just to polish anything off in the real build, if you like. So yeah, probably don't want to just kind of end the process when we've kind of finished our beautiful illustrations and wireframes and what have you. we want to kind of make sure that when it goes to launch, it's as we expected. So yeah, kind of got to keep an eye on that throughout the whole process. And yeah, just finally, with most enterprise kind of design projects I've been involved with, it's about the designer understanding the problem as well. So most I've been involved with, I don't understand them at the start. So I ask a lot of questions, dumb questions, to make sure I understand what we're trying to achieve from an engineering perspective and from a customer perspective, and yeah, all kind of angles. So that's it, really.
That's really useful. One of the you mentioned a design standard, and that was a question we got in advance, and a couple people are asking on IRC. Other platforms like Android and iOS or Windows and Mac, they have a design guidelines document, and sometimes, especially add-ons in Alfresco, are all over the map. Different experience on mobile, different experience in the web. What is your thoughts around that design, the design standard? Is that something that you are going to share with others? And what do you mean by that?
So I can probably take that one for now, Shane, but you can interject. But yeah, I agree. I think that's something that we definitely need to develop here at Alfresco. I don't think it really exists today necessarily, and that's something on our backlog that we really need to go after. And I think there, as Shane was touching on, interaction design standards and visual design standards that, as the team evolves and we learn more about Alfresco and certainly the customers' need, then that's what we're going to be building out. And that's going to be a living document, right? These standards are never really set in stone. There's always going to be an exception to these rules, but I think it's definitely an aspirational goal for the team for us to pull that together, and have that, as we have brand standards and guidelines, to extend that into the product to make sure that we, all of our products feel and interact and the experiences feel similar across the portfolio, right? And Shane, I mean, sorry to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to add, we need, as a new starter, I feel I'd need to gain a good product knowledge as well across the board, so you can see all of these, the patterns that exist already, so you can make a good sort of informed decision on what's the best standard to go for. And yeah, just so we don't put something forward and there's something better already in the product. So yeah, you need that product knowledge as well.
And one of the activities that we might think of kicking off, one of the initiatives that I've kicked off in previous lives, is maybe an audit of what we currently have. I would imagine that that's something that we would need to do to understand what we have, what's successful today with our product interactions and standards, and how can we leverage that and extend that as we move forward.
And like Matt said earlier, it's having that a similar experience across all these different platforms, but having a firm voice that people understand the family that it comes from and that it's all part of Alfresco.
Yeah, and I think similar is the key word there. We're not saying the same, right? We're saying, they have to feel like they're from the same family, not be exactly carbon copies of one another.
Excellent. Now, before we move forward, I want to go back and ask, Axel asked Lisa a really good question. She was answering in chat, but I think it's worth covering. Alfresco is used all over the world. You're doing user research, Lisa, and I guess this applies to everybody on the team. How do we make sure that research isn't biased by regional and practical restrictions, English language requirements? How do you, and the other part Axel mentioned is how do we avoid problems related to specific cultures using our products?
That's a great question. I mean, honestly, we have been focusing on whoever will talk to us, and so far that's been Europe, the USA, and Australia. I'd love to engage with people from other countries. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that, but.
Well, it's a great point. I think that we definitely need to be aware of this. There are cultural differences, and that the expectations in different regions are different. So again, to Lisa's point and Thomas's point on the IRC, if Axel or anybody else on the call has any contacts or leads, please reach out to us. We do want to be connecting with folks all around the world, and ideally we would do that in person. So yeah, absolutely. Please reach out to us.
Thanks.
And Axel is speaking specifically about the German market, and all of you are producing solutions for your customers, for your employers, and if you find somebody with a really useful perspective and you need to translate, please offer to translate. We would love to talk with that person and get to know them and the way they interact with Alfresco.
Yeah, and one of our PMs he said he'll do a research interview in German, so. He's native. That's easy.
Yes, yes. Thank goodness we have Jens on the team. Excellent. So, the one we didn't cover yet is the visual side, and unfortunately, both the members of that team had obligations today. But Matt, would you like to introduce the visual team and anything your team wants to contribute about how that part of the business works?
Yeah, sure. No worries. So obviously, unfortunately, Matt and Linton couldn't make it to the call today, but I'll try and represent them as best I can. I think that's probably okay. I come from a graphic design background originally anyway, so visual design is, again, a super important part of the UX team's capabilities. Most people on the call are probably more familiar with visual design, especially as Linton's been around for so long here, and I really see the responsibility of the visual designers as bringing these ideas to life and productizing, so that we can really add that polish and the delight to these experiences in these products. Moving forward, we want to make sure that our offerings and products are tools and experiences that people within the enterprise, users within the enterprise, choose to use over anything else, right? We want them to love our products and love the experiences rather than feel that they have to use them. I think that can be a differentiator in the market, really drive value back to the business as well. So, the visual design team are involved all the way through the process, and as Richard said, depending on the project, there are different deliverables. So it could be, only this week I've been working with Joanna on something in the very early stages to conceptualize what an idea could be when it finally becomes a product. And the idea there is that we pull together a concept that we could put in front of people to react to, as if it were an existing real product without having to write a single line of code. So that's really important. The visual design is definitely informed by research. Again, certain people in certain regions will react differently to different visual treatments and different visual approaches. So that's another interesting area for research. And within the company itself, there's been, we've had a few projects where we have focused on visual design. The case management project that we've been working on, and currently Share, we're looking to, as Joanna mentioned earlier, we're looking to inject a little more of a visual refresh in Share as well as we make some improvements to that product. So, it's certainly not a design for design's sake approach. We are very careful about how we treat visual design within the product. We understand that we've got enterprise products that have specific needs and utility within the enterprise. So, there is still a really great opportunity for us to be creative with the way that we think about these tools and take the ideas from the UX teams and really, take them to the next level through visual design and transitions and such. And obviously, there's a responsibility on the visual designers to look at how other products and offerings from Alfresco have been treating visual design. The last thing we need is that every product has a different feel or a different personality, right? We need to drive towards guidelines and standards across these products so that if customers are consuming multiple products and offerings, they feel like they're from Alfresco, and it's recognizable at a glance that these products are a family of products rather than individual, potentially from different organizations within the single within Alfresco itself. So does that kind of answer things for you, Richard?
Yes, that is very useful. And in fact, I was just doing time check. We only have about 12 minutes left to cover a list of questions, some of which expand more on that. One of the big questions related to visual design, and I guess it relates to interaction design as well, is Thomas talked about the mobile first initiative. What are Alfresco's plans to, when we're going through our design process, how do we keep in mind the various devices that are used, the form factors, big thumbs, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. It's something I know Thomas knows I'm very passionate about. The mobility in the enterprise is clearly something that is, it's here and now, right? We're not talking about something that's in the future. It's something that we have to consider in everything we do here at Alfresco. And I really think that there's an area there that the UX team can really help to drive value for the business as well. So again, I'm asking the team to think about mobile. This is an exciting area for us as designers to work within. But I want to kind of stress that doesn't necessarily mean that we take our products from today and then just refactor them for a smaller form factor, right? We need to understand the customer problem. We need to understand the need for mobile within their day-to-day and how we can deliver value to them as well as value back to the business. And that's something that we are definitely going to be focused on moving forward. Again, it's work in progress. We've got a lot of great talent on the team that can help us deliver on that, but definitely a focus for us moving forward.
And we talked about as a team that there are a lot of screens in the Alfresco products, and we're not going to just next release everything's different. It's going to be very evolutionary. We're going to redo one screen at a time, so expect to see things improve over time, but don't expect a next release everything's mobile friendly completely.
Yeah, I mean, the products themselves have evolved over a 10-year period, right? So it's going to take a while for us to actually to make significant changes, but we will get there.
And also, we're still learning how people want to use mobile. I mean, most of our users, I suspect, are on desktop computers. So we're still learning.
Yes, excellent point that we're still doing that. We're still doing that research to see how people are using their mobile devices in practice. I think as an industry, we're still learning how to use mobile effectively. So related to that is, question of theming. Our visual team specifically has to take advantage of the theming opportunities in Alfresco, and a lot of external people, as they go through that process, they hit a lot of roadblocks. Does the visual team feel the same pain? Are they looking to address that as a stakeholder in that conversation?
Well, I can represent the visual team here. So yeah, definitely. I mean, without a doubt, the visual designers and the design team will have a point of view on theming for sure. Again, I think this comes down to understanding our customers better and understanding how they're using theming, how developers are leveraging theming. There's a lot of learning that we need to do to kind of have that point of view, but absolutely, theming is, I think we need to understand the use cases for, different types of themes, and we will certainly have a point of view and help to extend the theme packs and understand how they're consumed so that we can make them easier to consume as well. Hope that answers the question. Lots of this is work in progress, so by all means, if there are people on the call that want to reach out to us and talk in more detail, we'd be happy to talk to them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of questions about prioritization. And to be clear, the interaction team doesn't pick the prioritization. That's done collaboratively with product management, and it has a lot to do with engineering effort required and things like that. But one of the questions that keeps coming up is, how do I vote for my favorite feature? How do I get this done?
Yeah, again, I think, Richard, you hit the nail on the head. It's a collaborative process, right? The prioritization is something that the product team and the engineering team and the stakeholders in the product go through. But by all means, the the very nature of the UX team is that we really love feedback and input. So, you know, the opportunity for everybody on the call to provide feedback to us is, I'm open to that. So feel free to reach out. I'm happy to take that on.
And as we've been discussing as a team, we do have a gap in tools. There's different types of feedback for different purposes, and Lisa and the UX team have done a good job at creating a pipeline for people to have conversations about specific research questions we're involved in. But there's a role for a larger ideation question, and we've tried different tools in the past, you know, enhancement requests in Jira plus voting, or we use Get Satisfaction for a little while with the cloud and with some of the mobile devices. But I think, just so everybody knows, that's something we're actively figuring out the right way to do. We get a lot of feedback from a lot of places, and because, you know, people voting is not the only signal. There's other important things to take into account. So we're trying to figure out a better way to do that and be more transparent, but honestly, we're still figuring it out. And related to that is a question of who should provide feedback. One of the questions we got was in the IRC channel is, are you only looking for enterprise customers that are paying us to give feedback, or can somebody who's using the Community Edition product participate as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I would welcome any feedback from the community as well. You know, I'm sure, Lisa, you would echo that too. You know, what we look for when we're asking for feedback or research candidates, you know, we really try to find the target that the feature or the product or the particular item that we're working on will resonate with. You know, who is the target? Who are we designing for? Who is this? What problem are we trying to solve? And the best people, you know, which is why we want a big pipeline of people to talk to. You know, we want to be able to hit the profile that we're designing for and gather feedback from them. So absolutely, folks from the community and others, any others that are working with the products, we're more than happy to have them in our pool of candidates.
And when somebody interacts with the research team, it's usually we're looking to get answers to specific questions. And as Lisa said, she's going to prioritize those conversations based on our work backlog. And we do prioritize our work backlog around strategic initiatives. We do deliberately design for Community Edition. You know, that's what I do all the time now, is, you know, figuring out the right way to evolve that product. And so we will engage with Community Edition users there. But we also deliberately work on things our customers are asking for. And so there is a prioritization process there. But, you know, we can't talk to people if they don't volunteer and say, please talk to me. So please, you know, go to the URL and sign up. I was looking at the list of questions really quick. So we talked about ideation, and that John Newton asked if we can do user research at the Munich meetup, and I wanted to direct that question to the team to say, what are I know in the past at Summit we try to get some user interviews. We didn't have many people volunteer. What do you go to a lot of physical events, to, you know, Alfresco days we run? How often does the team get to attend these events to interact with people?
Well, I mean, I can only speak from my experience. Currently, we are planning to attend these events in person, certainly, and we need to make sure that from the UX team's perspective that we have the studies planned out and an idea of what we're going after. I think we attended Summit last year, Lisa, which you know, I think you provided a report on. But again, this is a work in progress, right? In previous lives, our team would attend every single event that we possibly could to interact with customers. So, you know, something I'm very passionate about. I think we need to be there. You know, certainly the researchers need to be out on the road speaking to customers, and also within the events themselves. So I would hope that moving forward we will have a space at these events, but that's a work in progress as well. That's certainly something I'd love for us to do.
Excellent, and thanks for bringing that up. Thomas mentioned in the IRC channel that just emphasize the evolutionary approach we have to take to visual design and to how the application evolves. If we change everything at once, it's going to mess up the documentation and freak all the users out. So, we need to be deliberate, we need to be careful, and change things that are going to provide a meaningful return for that disruption. There was also a question about mobile first around, people don't see as much change as they like, and I just want to mention we do have really good mobile apps. We've spent a lot of time and effort on that, and the work of the UX team is spread out against our mobile products and Share and our next generation stuff we're working on in the cloud. Has your team been involved much with the activity products yet?
No, not yet. And this is one of the things I think is worthwhile highlighting. The nice thing is that here at Alfresco there's a great pull for UX input and UX resource, but as you can see, we're limited with the number of people that we have. There are lots more projects than people, and for us to be effective, we will need to focus. We'll need to choose which products and which projects we engage upon, which are prioritized for us. So I think it is going to be a slower process than some people would like, but equally we need to make sure that we deliver on key strategic projects and show that we are effective in those projects. And over time we're definitely going to make a difference as the team grows and we become much more ingrained in the processes here at Alfresco.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bindu even pointed out on their C channel that I didn't even mention records management and case management and all these other items. Teams spread very thin, but it's fun to see how much neat stuff Alfresco is able to keep in the pipeline at a time. So we have hit the top of the hour. I want to again thank the user interaction team. It's very instructive for me to get to know what you do and how you do business. Want to again encourage all of the attendees of this call to find their customers and their users and get them to sign up. Alfresco.com/UX research, all one word. UX research all together. So please sign up, participate in our research stuff. As Alfresco moves forward with figuring out how to collect feedback, we will make that easier for you to suggest new ideas and things like that as well. If you have feedback on how we should be doing this, we're definitely open to that. This team's very new and they're getting to know our community and the enthusiasm that our user community brings. So probably the best way is to email community@alfresco.com. That goes to a group of us, and I'll make sure that feedback gets to the UX team. So thank you very much. Any last comments, Matt, before we close?
No, this has been great. Thanks, Richard. Thanks for having us. Credit to the team. Reach out to the team. They're in different locations, certainly over in the UK. So London and Maidenhead. Introduce yourself if you're down there. So yeah, look forward to hearing from folks.
And at the next event, when the UX team tweets and says, "Please come talk to us," do come talk to them. So with that, we'll close. So thank you very much. Next event then will be the Munich meetup, I guess, on June 1st, and Office Tech Talk Live on June 3rd. We're figuring that out, and prepare your call for papers, your submission for summit proposals. So thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, Richard.
Bye.